This episode of the Amp Hour is brought to you by ViaDesigner.com, part of Triad Semiconductor. Who needs a chip printer when you can design your own mixed-signal chips on your desktop? ViaDesigner is a Windows-based software for the design and simulation of analog and digital circuits. At ViaDesigner.com, you can learn about mixed-signal design, share your design IP, and form teams to create your own custom VIA ASICs. Go to viadesigner.com/theamphour and enter coupon code AMP100 at registration for a free year of Via Designer, a $500 value. This is the Amp Hour podcast, recorded April 22nd, 2013. Episode 142. Jasperated, Jimswinger, Jobbery.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
I'm excited, Chris.
Me too, Dave. I'm quite excited.
We've got a new T-shirt design.
We do.
It looks freaking awesome.
I know. It so wasn't our fault.
Yeah, we don't have the... Yeah, if it's not obvious, folks, take a look at the website, see our T-shirt design, and you can know it wasn't us who designed it.
No,
because
it was
we just lack all talent in that sort of area.
If you'd like to see some of our other artwork, check out our previous logo and, I don't know, Dave's website, my website.
Yeah, exactly. Amateur hour, yeah.
Yeah. We should pay people more often. This is...
Yeah, I know. This is good.
This is the benefit of our wonderful sponsors at Triad Semiconductor this week. So, this is what helps out. So, we talked about it, and we are still... so we'll be sending out codes this week to people who won the contest. And they'll be able to... Basically, the way the contest now and forever after will work is we'll send you a code. You put in the code and on this website we're using called Printfection, and then you put in the size and your information. We don't have to have any of that stuff. So that's the nice thing, and it'll just show up to you. They'll just bill us for it. But since not everybody's going to get that, we've decided we're gonna try something else different. We're gonna crowdfund it. Yeah, Kickstarter for T-shirts.
Which is basically what it is.
Yeah.
On a site called teespring.com. They allow us to do this.
Yeah.
So tell the audience what we're going to do.
So we're going to try it out with the black shirt first, and we can try this out in the future for other ones and stuff. But basically, we set a minimum T-shirt order, and then if we hit that minimum, then it'll go off, and it'll be good to go, basically, at that point.
You'll be charged and then sent a shirt.
Yeah, and
if we don't reach the minimum, nothing happens, and we all
right. Yeah, in that case, I mean, we'll have a secondary store set up. But here's the real benefit, and this is why people should buy now, buy now. So we're gonna charge $15 for a T-shirt, which isn't too bad. We're not sure about the shipping yet.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, for like a low run T-shirt, it's not super expensive. So it'll be the black T-shirt with the white and yellow lettering you can see on the website. $15 plus shipping. If you don't catch this first round of orders, it'll go up to $25 just because of the on-demand printing. So that's just kind of incentive to buy now. Hopefully we'll get 100 people. I'll be ordering one.
Yes, we're setting the. Yeah, I'm ordering one.
Yeah.
So we're setting the minimum to 100, and we figure the black T-shirt design is probably the most universal. Although I do like the others as well.
Yeah.
Well, it's slimming, right, for all us fat engineering nerds, right?
I've been drinking beer more often lately, so.
Right? Yeah. Well. Yes. So unfortunately, we can't choose different colours for the campaign. So we are only going. So we have to choose one. So we're going to choose black just for starters. And if we can get 100 people to sign up, then it'll happen. Otherwise, it just doesn't happen at all, and you're not charged. And blah blah blah. So hopefully, out of our 6,500 listeners, or thereabouts, or we're up to like 7 or something now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Surely 100 people want a T-shirt.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Look at it.
It's the first one, yeah.
It's very 80s.
Yeah, it's
rock
like
band
AC/DC
kinda
style, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
I love it.
I was telling a friend, I was like, man, between like working with this artist who worked on this thing, and then, I had worked on some plastics with some industrial designers for my job, and it's just like, I'm not artistic at all, but damn if I don't love telling them what to do, like just guiding them, being part of the, not like in like a bossy way, but just being part of the process, just being like, well, what if you tried this or that? It's like, oh, I don't know, it's just really cool. I wish I had those talents as well. Like, I mean, hell, this is hand drawn, this T-shirt, but it's cool to work with artistic people, just because engineer, with the maker community, they work with them a little bit more, with artistic people more, which is, I think, one of the big draws of it. But I don't get to do it that often, at least at work. So,
and we found this artist on a crowd. What are people?
Yeah, peopleperhour.com.
Yeah, peopleperhour.com. And
I'm not going to give her name away yet. I will eventually, but I don't want everyone to inundate. We have a couple more T-shirt ideas we need to get out first. So,
and no, it's not some kid in India.
It's not.
In a slum in India designing T-shirts.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's the stereo.
No.
That's the stereotype, especially in the software kind of side of, these,
like Elance or what are those other ones out there?
Yeah, Elance and all those ones. Yeah. Apparently you can't compete on that anymore, because there's always someone who's low bidding you, who will low bid you for the job, that kind of thing. So
I put one up on People Per Hour of like, I'll help you spec in parts or something. It's just like and it's I just put it out. I don't think anyone looking for that kind of thing would be on there, but in terms of talents I have to sell, it's like, well,
you can hire Chris, folks.
Yeah, begins and ends right about there. So, unless it's going to be like you said, I mean, unless it's going to be a layout, like a full layout or a full design or turnkey services, and at that point, that gets really pricey really quickly. And you've talked before about your base rates, like at above $100 or $150 or whatever, and it's like,
I won't even get out of bed for less than $150 an hour.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, but that's just baked into the field, right? It's just
yeah, exactly. No, if you want someone to do a small specialist job, then yeah.
Yeah, and so the same site is what we use for the transcriptions that are up on the site too. That are up on our site, and and it's the same thing. Like it comes down to the ultimate, like paying for quality kind of thing, because and I'm sure people have experienced this in electronics too. If you don't pay someone who's experienced and is responsive, then it's just you're gonna end up spending the money one way or another. So you might as well spend it on quality work and not have the headache of having to shout at the person or troubleshoot it yourself, because there's nothing worse than.
Well, we did try more than one, didn't we? She was was she the second one?
Third. The artist.
Third.
Yeah, I tried 3 artists and 5 transcriptionists, and you kind of have to do that, like at least with this kind of stuff, just because you don't meet them in person. That's always the benefit of working with an in-person consultant. You can tell if they're, you just get a feel for them, right? If they're real shady,
exactly.
It's like, I don't know, it's just like who you want to work with. And so it's hard to get that through email, and when you're doing these kind of sites. And that's
why, if this thing works, I'm probably going to get her to design me some T-shirts for the EEV blog, and I'll do a similar sort of campaign thing. So hope it does
exactly.
work.
That's everyone I've talked to who's worked with consultants and I guess artists as well, and you find someone who's good and you just keep giving them more work, because you don't want to go through that hoop again, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
To find somebody else.
Right, exactly.
I think we were pretty lucky to get a design we liked after 3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the other option was like
sometimes you could expect, give it to 10 people and you might find one that you actually like.
Yeah. So the same ththing, right? So I had put this stuff out there when we were starting this process for like 99 designs I was thinking about, and I'm like, $300 for, you get 30 plus designs or so for like $300, and I'm like, man, that's a lot of money.
And you can pick one,
right, and you can refine them then too. But we ended up spending that anyways. It's not like but we ended up getting one. But like you said, it was lucky. Like 99 Designs is nice and there's a couple sites like that where you can try out a couple
the
things.
reason I like that is because you will get 20 or 30 to choose from. So you put up the target. If people aren't aware of this, you put up the target amount. Like I will pay you, or I will pay the winner of the. It's like a contest. I'll pay the winner of the design contest, like $300 or $500, and then you'll have 20, and depending on the amount of money, you'll get on average maybe 20 or 30 different designs, and then you can choose the one you like, and that winner gets all the money, and the rest just send you flame emails. Why didn't you pick mine? Mine was brilliant.
Right.
So
yeah, I don't know. The only thing with that is it seems like in any kind of thing like that, right? It's like it just unless you find one that kind of strikes a chord with you, it ends up being kind of generic. Like I've seen a couple on there. It's like they're interesting, but they're mostly designing for like web startups and stuff. So
they will just design the quickest, most generic thing possible.
Yeah.
So you end up with 30 generic designs rather than one brilliant one.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Makes you wonder if this kind of thing would work in electronics, if like a contest site send me I guess you kind of do that with apps engineers
well, you can't,
and
there's too much
salespeople.
work involved.
Well, no, like
there's too much work involved in our business. And
So here's the only analog I can think of is like, so I say I need to switch from a 12-volt supply down to 5-volt supply, right? Not necessarily very stringent application. And then, I'll go tell 3 distributor reps and, 4 salespeople from individual, like inside salespeople, and then they'll all send me back designs and I can go boop, 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 check through them all. That one looks good. Pricing looks good. Like that. I guess that would be the closest thing.
What sort of design are they going to send you though? Is it going to be like it's not going to be a schematic because they're not going to do all that work.
No, it would be like application circuits basically. Yeah, you're right. It would be generic unless there was something special about it. It's like 12 volts down to 5 volts and it's going to be at 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Like that would be like the one weird thing where then you need the specialized circuitry if you could even get it. So. But yeah, if you're going to be generic in the first place, then you're going to get a lot of generic responses from vendors and stuff. And it can be hard. It can be hard to decide that. I remember a couple of times where I'm just going through all the, it's just so much stuff. You just think about, the big companies' catalogs, right? I mean, or even just going onto a distributor's website and looking at all the different options.
I know, it's crazy. That's why I don't think it's ever going to work for electronics, this sort of thing.
Well, I think that's what it is. It's either take it or leave it there. It's like go to vendors and people who are, you wouldn't work with like freelancers, I don't think, but maybe it would. I don't know. It'd be interesting. Yeah,
it's going to work for t-shirts, folks.
Yeah,
it has worked. We've got a design that we absolutely love, and if you love it too, then get a t-shirt.
Yeah,
I'm definitely getting one.
Me too. All right.
When do I get it? And hopefully you can get it before Maker Faire.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Maker Faire. Going to Maker Faire.
Hamvention, which I'm definitely going to now. So that's
where's that at?
That is in Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah, it's not in the country, Dave.
Right. Okay.
It's like 3 hours away from me. Yeah.
Children banjos there, folks.
There's I forget what the Edwards. I forget there's a big Air Force base there, but they have a really big aeronautics museum that I hope to go to as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'd love those.
Yeah. I think that's the one where my friend's been down there, and I think there's like a big airfield where with like retired planes just like hanging outside. I think that's the one. I might be thinking of somewhere else, but I'll be taking videos and everything, and I will be setting up a meetup for Amp Hour listeners amongst all the ham enthusiasts. So if anyone will be going,
cool.
You can send me an email, or I posted something on the subreddit today about it, so we can just kind of coordinate. And one of our former guests, Greg Charvat, will be there, and I think possibly Dr. Analog will be there too.
Right.
So,
but the big highlight, folks, is you can meet and you can touch Christopher J. Gamble.
No touching.
I refuse to touch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Subhumans.
Well, it should be good. I'm a little nervous about it, to be honest. I got my license, right? And it is sat completely dormant.
Of course.
I still don't even have a radio. So, I mean, it's like, honestly, like, how do I have time for this, right? It's like, I don't know. It's
exactly.
just so I need to get one. There's like $50 radios you can get on Amazon, so I'll get one of those and practice before I go.
Oh, please! You may as well not have anything.
No, they're not bad, really. Seriously, they're not bad. They're like,
but no, at least get an old bloody Icom or something off eBay.
Well, I could, yeah. But that's the other thing. So that's the reason to go to this.
Newfangled piece of one-hung low garbage on Amazon.
It's not bad, man. Jeff had one. So I was at Maker Faire last year, and Jeff Kaiser had one of those, and it's like $50. It's it's got like a little digital keypad and everything, and you could dial in all the different frequencies, and we're chatting between cars and stuff.
Wrong.
What's the problem here? I don't get it. Just because I have to have vintage gear?
Yes.
Oh. Well, that's the other thing. Okay, so that's the other thing about Hamvention is, how you went to that Wyong field day or whatever it was?
Wyong,
sorry.
Wyong, mate. No worries. Yeah. You Yanks.
Yeah. So that was, like people were buying out of boots and stuff like that, right? I mean, like they were selling on the back of their cars. This is like that times 1,000. Like this is like one of
course.
This
our
is
one's nothing.
the biggest. This is the biggest
one in the country, isn't it?
Flea market. Well, arguably maybe the one in Silicon Valley is big, but that's a regular thing. This is one of the biggest all year. Yep. So that'll be like electronic. I think maybe you should come in next year for this. We can go. We can go.
No worries.
Buy some junk together.
No worries. I'll spend a couple of grand, fly over there. Not a problem.
We wear matching T-shirts. You can bring Sagan. He can wear a T-shirt too.
Right. We can get a little baby size. Have they got baby size ones?
I don't know. If they do, you got to get one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm excited. Lots of stuff.
Why the hell is it in Dayton, Ohio?
I don't remember the history of it.
Who the hell goes to Dayton, Ohio?
It's the DARA, Dayton Amateur Radio Association, is the ones who throw it.
Right.
There's like a whole history on their webpage about about that. So
that's the same thing about here. Like, why is it a bloody Wyong, which is an hour up the coast? Like nobody goes to Wyong, right? It's crazy. But it is the Wyong Amateur Radio Club are the ones who originally started it, and that's that's where the history is. So
exactly. That's what it's all about. So it's going to be a lot of nerds in town.
You've got to shoot video because the people that wander around are just hilarious. Just shoot crowd footage.
Oh yeah,
and just like mullet
look
spotting,
at all
the stereotypes there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I am a mullet connoisseur. I am a very big fan of mullets, so I will be on the lookout.
Right.
Get Dave to do voiceovers.
No, you're not old enough to have had a mullet.
No. You mean
like back in the 80s?
I think the closest that came was some of the kids like around my age had like rat tails. Do you remember those?
Rat's tails, yes.
They're so gross. I distinctly remember wanting one, but thankfully my mom said no.
Right. No, it was only the tough kids had rat's tails.
Okay.
When I went to school. If you had a rat's tail, you were tough.
Oh God, they're so gross.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Let's not go there.
No. So what else is going on? I guess that's a lot of our news around here. Oh yeah, you.
Well, yeah. I gave an Ignite talk.
Oh, you did. That was a good talk.
The video is up. If people haven't seen it, you can watch me make a fool out of myself in front of a live audience of 500.
It wasn't a live. It wasn't. No, it was a live audience. It was not you making a fool. It was a good talk. It was for all your.
I'm going to do a big blog post on it. I think, but it's going to take me a couple of hours to write the bloody thing. I think.
Yeah.
My experience of doing this Ignite talk, and I highly recommend it. Because they have these in different cities around the world, these Ignite talks. And if you've got a passion for something, then doing a 5-minute lightning PowerPoint presentation is brilliant. I love the concept. It's great. And it's extremely difficult, though. It's very challenging. That's why I did it. I actually pushed myself out of my comfort zone. And this is the first time I've been live on stage with a script. I've been... live on stage off the cuff before in front of 1,000 people. But that's just like if I screwed up, it was like, I can mumble my way through it. This one, if you lose your time in, if people don't know what it is, basically it's a fixed 5-minute format. You have 20 PowerPoint slides and 15 seconds per slide, and they auto-rotate. So if you lose your time in, or you forget to say something, or you do whatever, those slides just keep ticking over, and there's no stopping it. There's no, there's no backing out. There's there's no going, can you start again? No, because everyone will boo you, right? If if you do that, it's nice. You'll get booed off stage. It's like, and no, so it's you get one shot, and you have to nail it. Yeah, and I think I did pretty well. I was quite pleased with myself. I was quite chuffed. Came off stage and I went, yes, did it. You son of a bitch. All that practice paid off.
Nice. And, that's good.
Yeah.
It's good you still have a work ethic somewhere buried deep underneath the surface. Says the guy who doesn't make any videos, talking to the guy who makes tons of videos.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's tough. Like the amount of, to actually to tell a meaningful story, throw in jokes and, give some information in... 15 seconds per slide is incredibly difficult. When I first started writing the thing, I I wrote, this will fit in, 15 seconds, and I, spoke it to myself, and I timed it, and that took like a minute. I was like, holy shit, I'm saying too much, and I had the amount of stuff I had to cut out, and actually refine is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. But
there's a really good post by Seth Godin, the marketing guy that I probably have mentioned on here before.
Yeah, I know him.
He talks about the basics of presenting, and a lot of them are captured in like a Ignite or another version of that. It's like Pachakacha is another one that's that they have around here.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a Japanese word for chatter, basically. But it's the same kind of thing, like a rapid-fire presentation. But basically the idea behind good presentations, and it's good just even if you're doing presentations for like work, is do not have a wall of text. Do not use bullet points.
Oh, yes, you get booed off stage at Ignite if you use a bullet point.
Yeah. So
frowned upon.
The thing that Seth Godin talks about is just, like big pictures, striking images, single words, that kind of thing. And it can get kind of lame if you do it like that too much. If you actually are presenting data, you might need a graph on screen. But,
of course, I put a graph into mine. I put a couple of points. They weren't bullet points, but I put a couple of facts up there. And other than that, there were other people who just had funny pictures of the Muppets. That was it. Every slide was just a different Muppet. I mean, it was great.
Yeah. So that's a monthly thing out there?
No, it's about every 9 months or so.
Okay.
They run that.
Oh, so that's good though.
This was the 10th time they've run it in Sydney, and I'll definitely go back next year, but I won't talk. I'll just watch.
Right.
I'll be
You're a veteran,
and it's very stand-up comedy like the venue. I don't think you can see it on camera, but like I'm standing right on the edge of the stage, and there are people like right at my feet. It's a mosh pit, and it's standing room only.
Oh wow!
And there's it's like
That's got to be like electric.
These people aren't seated. It's.
That's good. That kind of crowd is good because it's better than like
it's great.
You crack a joke and it's just like cricket.
No, but this was a real pumped up, positive, motivated crowd. So the jokes went over well, and the thing is, like, you don't have time. Like if your joke goes down well and people are pissing themselves, and at one point I couldn't even hear myself.
Yeah,
right, because people are pissing themselves laughing, and but you can't just stop and wait for the.
No, you gotta
wait for that to finish
because
you're on a schedule, right? Yep. You're on a schedule for the next slide, so you've just got to talk over the laughter and keep on going. You can't. It's really amazing. It was a great experience. I loved it. So
good.
Yep, I highly recommend it. To challenge yourself and do an Ignite talk.
Well, I'll have to keep an eye out for Cleveland. See if they come around here.
Yeah. Don't know if they do, but they're in quite a few cities. It was actually first developed by who's the head of O'Reilly Media, who does the Make magazine thing.
Dale Doherty.
Yes, and Bree
Pettis.
Predis from He, I think they were the two who founded it, or something. So
okay,
I think so.
Okay.
You disagree?
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, okay. No, I think their names were mentioned as as the two people who started it in some way. So this Ignite format.
Oh, yeah, you're
rapid
right.
fire presentation. Am I right?
Yeah, 2006 in Seattle was brainchild of Brady Forrest and Brie Pettis.
There you go.
Cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, way to go, Brie. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what else? What else is on the list for this week?
Well, we can get into the big topic, which we could talk half an hour on.
Yeah.
Which involves Kickstarter and.
Yeah.
Should we?
Speaking of crowdfunding, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's do it. Right. There's a big thread on the EEV blog forum about an Indiegogo. Sorry, it's not Kickstarter, it's Indiegogo.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get on Kickstarter, and that's part of the reason we're discussing this. And it's the Mu Optics thermal imaging camera. And somebody who backed it asked on the forum, is it real or is it fake?
Right.
And the general consensus is that these, including my own opinion, is that they will not deliver squat. Right?
Right.
And they will. It'll be a miserable failure, and nobody will see anything for their $150 or $200. It's going to fail, like many Kickstarter. Well, there's quite a few out there who have delivered absolutely nothing. They've taken all this money, in some cases, like many hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And that's the case with this Mu Optics one. It's they got $225,000 in funding.
Yeah.
Right?
Right, 280.
And and they claim to be able to the reason I smelled bullshit from day one is because the delivery schedule was ridiculous. They said they were going to deliver in May, and it came out early April, and all they had was just a slick, 3D rendered video. They had no real product, no real prototype, and it's like, you're not going to deliver squat by May.
And that's why Kickstarter implemented those rules on their projects in the first place.
That's why they could not go on Kickstarter, because Kickstarter have new rules that say you must show a real working prototype, otherwise bugger off.
Yeah.
So they bugger off, they bugger off to Indiegogo.
Right.
And if you don't know about Indiegogo, the other big difference is that, well, there's two other big differences. One is that you get the money regardless of whether or not you meet the target.
Well, they have different types of campaigns. You can do
they do.
that, or they could do it like the traditional Kickstarter one as well.
Oh, okay.
And interestingly,
anyway,
they started before Kickstarter, if you didn't know.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
They've been around longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, there is that option where they get the money regardless of whether or not they meet their target. And I think in this case they did do that.
Which is shiesty, the other one in my opinion. I think it's better to have that.
Yep.
All or nothing.
Yeah, I think so.
Endless upside.
And the other one is, I believe, although I haven't used Indiegogo, so don't quote me, but this is just what I've read, is that they can delete comments that they don't like.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, whereas you can't do that on Kickstarter. So, you can read in the comments all the public, people start screaming, this is bullshit, I want my money back, Yeah. And, although I'll say that there's no evidence of them doing that with this campaign, but in others, this Mu Optics one, they haven't done that, I don't believe. But in other campaigns like the Zion Eyes campaign, which is a famous one. Yeah,
that was like
Kickstarter, that
Google Glass style
thing, and they delivered squat, and and then there's a thing where they've moved to Indiegogo as well with a similar thing, and there's anyway, the question is, the reason I brought this up is because the original poster on the forum asked, is it a scam or is it not?
Right.
And here is the question. Are these projects actually genuine engineered scams from the get-go, or are they just enthusiastic people who have no idea about electronics design and manufacturing? And unless they admit they're scammers, you just don't know, right? You just, you sort of kind of have to give them the benefit of the doubt. I guess.
Well, you have to judge it based on whatever information they give you. You can't judge it any more than that, really.
Yeah.
You know.
And well, what's happened with the Mu Optics one is now, if it wasn't a scam to begin with, it is now, because this guy is selling snake oil. He's absolutely classic. The responses he's giving, I've read them, and it's classic snake oil talk. Absolutely classic. And they said they were going to, stuff like they were going to show the product at an upcoming trade show in May, and now they've pulled out of that, and their reasons for that are just complete bullshit, right? There's, Ooh,
I can utter a name I haven't uttered in a while. Do you remember EE Store?
Right, yeah.
Yes. That sound echoes of that. We still haven't delivered. Still haven't seen a damn thing. Yeah.
What was the story behind that? Did they take investment? Like
they didn't take it. They had announced this, revolutionary battery technology, and then basically they said they had a car manufacturer interested in it, and the military was interested in it. And there's all this hype, and then basically people started investing in the car company because of that. And it's just like, ugh.
Oh, right. Okay, as in,
mess.
like, the industry started investing.
Yeah. Because that was the only really public-facing entity, and people thought, well, if this is such a big thing, I want to get any piece of it I can.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah, that's the downside of, like, that Jobs Act, which still isn't in place either, which is supposed to be, like, crowdfunding smaller companies up to $1 million. We talked about that on the show.
That's right. Yep.
Back when that happened, first off, that still isn't in place, the Jobs Act.
Right.
But that's the big problem with that is that you get these not small ideas. They're usually big ideas with small companies, and it's like there's nothing but marketing sell because you don't have anything to show yet. You either need money for a big first prototype or something like that. So it's tough to be in, but it's made even worse when there's people that aren't being honest about it, And I don't know. I haven't read about the Mu enough to really say whether or not. But when people are, so like I think a good thing is like in the EEV blog post they talk about the comparative cost, right? So it's the same optics as a $2,500 Fluke scanner, right? That was the comparison that
they claim to be able to get it much lower cost, but.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean, though. So it's either one of two things. They're either, they're not playing with the spec sheet correctly. They're, they're actually just using the sensor wrong, right? I assume that they're using sensor. They're lying.
They claim to be able to get we have a selection of low cost sensors to choose from. It's like bullshit, you do.
Yeah.
Right? There's hardly any on the market that can meet that price point, let alone a selection of them.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like
it's tough. It could be, it could just be that they haven't gotten far enough in their development. So, like everybody does at the beginning of a project, right? You're like, oh, well, of course I'll get, 24 bits from this ADC, and then you're like, oh, well, I wanted to run it at more than a sample every 5 seconds, so I guess I won't get 24 bits. It's like, I guess I can't integrate that much. Yeah, it just happens in every project. If you're not far enough, then you don't know what you don't know yet, right? But you're selling on that what you don't know.
The thing is, these guys who are doing these sort of things, if you read these projects that people think might be scams, if you read them, you go, well, these guys are actually quite knowledgeable. They do actually know enough to, to actually talk technical about various things. Mm-hmm. It's just that when you dig below the surface, it's not really practical, but they at least know enough to to convince a lot of people that they know what they're talking about.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's the worst kind too, because you're like, you get excited as even if you know what it is in the field, right? They're saying all the right things, and then eventually you're like, oh, but you didn't know what you're talking. You were just saying the right words at the beginning, right? You don't actually. Oh man.
Yeah,
it's
but the dead giveaway is like they keep talking about, we're spinning more boards, and which means, well, where are all your previous boards? People keep asking them, show us an old prototype.
Yeah,
and they're showing squat.
Yeah.
Right? They've it's just like, you can just smell the bullshit a mile away.
Yeah, that's tough.
So are they scammers, or are they just pie in the sky dreamers, who are just stretching the truth that, like, are they seriously working on it?
Yeah.
And they've actually put up a video of, going around in the office there and talking to the 3 or 4 people working on the project.
That. Yeah.
And it's like, and people have said, they're actors or whatever, or they're,
Well, that's just speculation. Come on, that's...
it's just
still,
speculation.
I mean, it's tough because, again, it's like we said with consultants, right? You can't sit there, you can't look them in the eye. Like, you can produce a video to make someone look like Superman, right? But unless you're sitting there with them and, maybe throwing them off a little bit, right? Like you're interviewing someone, right? You could have a resume that's brilliant when you're interviewing a new electronics designer, but unless they're bringing their boards in, like you always say, unless you're asking them about what they've actually made or actually done, you can't tell if they're full of crap, and it's just a dangerous position to be in. So
that's why it's easy with these campaigns to tell if they're full of shit or not. You just say, well, show me the hardware.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Like,
and prototypes
and
rule, right?
That should be the rule, right? Yeah. And that's why I think the Kickstarter rule is excellent. Show me the real prototype. Otherwise, piss off. I don't want to, yours full of crap.
Yep.
Right? Anyone can do a 3D render these days and a fancy video.
Not going to hire an artist. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, exactly. You could hire someone for a couple $100 on bloody, people per hour to do you a slick video.
What if these T-shirts aren't actually real? That's what everyone's thinking right now.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, well,
luckily, T-shirts, that's all there is.
We're scamming people.
Yeah,
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
There's actually, there was a Fortune Tech article about the same kind of thing. About they were talking about the hardware renaissance is stalling out, and it's like, well, the stuff they're talking about is just, so they give a couple examples, right? The big ones, right, from Kickstarter, like the Jawbone Up, which is
right.
That's a quantified self, tracking your movements and everything. There's the Pebble, which we've talked about a bunch, and then there's the Ouya, or however you say that, the Android game console. And it's like, a lot of this is just scaling, right? That's a big part of it, and that's just a hard part of any project. Is going from 1 to 10 is tough. Going from 10 to 100 is tough. Going from 100 to 1,000 to 10,000, like all the way up.
Yep.
And I think, in that case, it's just over exuberance in terms of the founders, right? They, if they were really realistic about it on a Kickstarter or a Indiegogo or even a self-starter, right? They would limit it to what they know they can do, right? I know.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I would never put myself out there like that.
Right.
Like, because your reputation absolutely ruined, because you've got to put your name behind it.
You do. Yeah, you're right. And even
in
the case of Pebble, that's what actually sold it too. They said, oh, well, this is a company that's already designed a different watch before, and that gave people more confidence, and that everything else there, right? But it's like, it's like you have to give that balance point, and I'm sure it's very hard if you're at the beginning, right? It's like, of course you want to, grab as much cash as you can, because you might be thinking that might be the only time you get it in the first place, right? If you don't get it at first, when you have that big slug of publicity and marketing, it's like, but if you can't deliver, you also get the backside marketing, and you get it in the backside. So it's
up your clacker advertising.
Yeah, it's a tough balance
Love
point.
it.
I don't know if I'd be able to. I don't think I'd be able to hold off either. It's like, oh, of course, like you kind of do that. What do? You do the little thumb thing, the tongue off to the side, right? You're kind of looking at. Yeah, we could do 10,000 more units. What is it? It's just time and money, right? And plastic.
Right.
Yeah.
To pay someone to do it. Yeah, right.
Well, our board's had an 80%
then if it all comes
failure
rate. Well, yeah, something goes wrong, you can lose all your money.
Yeah, right.
And then you've got nothing left, to actually, if you screw it up a time or two, if you try and do, 10,000, the company could run off. That's a common excuse apparently for a lot of these companies that fail. Oh, we gave all your money to the contract manufacturer and they just disappeared. And it's like,
right.
Well, blame's, shifting blame. It's like bullshit.
Well, of course, right. And it's like, when we talked to Scott Miller on the show,
buck stops with you.
He said they offer that service for that kind of thing because it does happen, but if you don't think to hire someone like Scott, or if you don't go over to China and babysit the process, man, you can't just sit back and be like, oh, I got $10 million in the bank now. I'm sure this will get itself done. Money is hard to make. Have you noticed this? It is hard to make money.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's
welcome to the real world.
I know, right? But like, okay, so this is going to sound really stupid, right?
It seems easy for some people, right? You see all these successful campaigns on Kickstarter and you go, oh, man, I could get $1 million too. It's like very few people actually get serious money.
Right. The guy made $1 million. The jump to conclusions, Matt. But even when you're coming out of school, right? Even when you're coming out of school, like engineers usually get paid pretty well out of school, right? It's like, oh, I'm just doing the stuff I want to do. But breaking through, barriers of, salary, or, making money on your own, or going out on your own, it is hard to make money. It does continue to be hard, or else everyone would do it, obviously. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's like, if you go into the kit business and you're making the maximum profit packing and shipping each one, well, yeah, congratulations. You've just scored yourself a 12-hour-a-day job for the rest of your life. Yeah, you might be making quite a lot of money, but like a lot of margin, but you're working your ass off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And,
people should not think otherwise.
So, yeah, we talked about those different models before. There's models where you can completely hand everything off to someone else and sit back and only make 10%, or you can work your ass off yourself and make all the profit.
Right.
And
profit, quote unquote.
Choose your poison. Yeah. Yeah.
You can make all the self-paid salary of not that much.
Right.
Yeah. You gotta work hard. It's got to get even harder when you're selling a phone for $12.
$12.
$12. This is a post from Bunny.
And it looks like a $12 phone.
Yeah, if that.
It's a bit of green translucent plastic with like nine buttons and a little 1-inch screen that's probably 120 pixels or something, and it's got two chips in it.
Yeah. And so Bunny lays it out like usual. Obviously,
Bunny did an interesting comparison, and he compared it to the Arduino Uno, which is $29, and this phone is $12.
Right. This is scraping the bottom of the supply chain barrel. This is just optimizing. Because I bet if you bought this phone 2 different months, it could have potentially entirely different parts in it.
Totally different.
Just because,
absolutely,
this is probably bought off surplus shelves at the Seg Market or wherever Bunny got it from. What was it? I didn't see which market it was from. Gankai. I don't know what that means. And
it comes with a charger in a box.
Yeah.
It's one of those fake chargers that just, are lethal. They churn them out for 20 cents.
Yeah, right.
Ugh.
Crazy.
And it comes with a free silicon sleeve as well. One of those protective silicon covers.
You mean like...
And a cable.
Yeah.
Like a skin. One of the protective silicon skins.
Yeah. I'm always just amazed at the RF side of things. I always think that's the most expensive side of things, but the fact that it can do all...
Well, the chip's only $2.
I know.
That's what Bunny reckons.
Yeah, the baseband stuff, but like that's what's most crazy to me. Like, I mean, I guess the same thing with Raspberry Pi. That's what they built that on too, right? That was a mobile graphics processor, right? So it's it's economies of scale, obviously, but just man, $2. I buy $2 resistors sometimes.
Yeah, I know,
just
exactly.
The drastic difference.
My new project's using a $5 resistor in it.
Exactly.
And that's in volume.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can play this game all day long.
Yeah, exactly.
My past has gotten me in touch with some very expensive resistors, but yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just like the extreme disparity between pricing and complexity, right? I mean, you could argue that this is, that a very fancy resistor has process complexities that a chip, obviously the processing of a chip like this, right, is probably on an older node of technology. Might be on 90 nanometer or whatever, what was it, 135 before that. So it could be on an older technology node. So it's it's already cost optimized. But man, even still, the bare metal complexity is insane. Absolutely insane.
I know.
Yeah. And it's interesting,
it's incredible.
too, because Bunny got the schematics and everything, so because it's China,
Right, okay.
Yeah. But it's
unbelievable.
Very, very cool post. So Bunny continues to crank out the awesomeness.
Oh, man. $12.
What do you think?
But as you said, it will not be available next month, right? Or if it is, it'll be an entirely different chipset, entirely different design. It's it's a case of a company that some one hung low company has been stuck with some surplus gear, or they bought a whole bunch of surplus chips and something and went, whoa, what can we do with this? I know, we'll make a run of phones, and they make a run of 50,000 of them, and that's it.
Yep.
Right?
50,000.
Done, dusted.
If you're making what? Do you think they're making, even if they're making 50% margin on this, which would make it even more insane?
Oh, which they're not, right? They're
they're probably $2 margin, I'm guessing. Yeah. That what times 50,000 pieces? That's $100,000 margin or profit rather. It's like, that's like cheap labor priced in there, because who's going to put that together for, how do you even do that?
I know it's insane. Somebody had to lay out the board. Somebody had to assemble it. Somebody had to, test it. Somebody, Well, I doubt they're even tested.
No.
Right.
Well, maybe we'll make 150 and just sell what we can.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, there's a post on hackthings.com by Joe, and he the same kind of thing, just calling out cheap hardware. So he calls out a $30 Android tablet, which we talked about in the past with the India program, and some of that is subsidizing, but Android tablet for Android 4.1, which is better than my phone. You're running $30. And then he also says $8 video recorders, and then no contract $11 cell phones, quote unquote, but it's actually just it's a hotspot basically, but for $12, same kind of thing.
Right.
So, man, it's crazy, and so he's writing about disposable hardware, and it's like, it's Earth Day today, and it's like, yes, I disagree with that in principle, just from the disposable side of things. You could argue that all electronics are effectively disposable because of technological advancements, but just from the where do you and I exist in this universe, Dave? That's what I don't get.
I don't think we do we?
I don't. I mean, no, not in this universe, but I mean, okay, so. Is there any future? Should I be brushing up on my software right now? I mean, yes, I should be brushing up on my software, but can we survive in a world like this?
Of course we can. I mean, rumors of our death have been greatly exaggerated.
Yeah. Well, we can always sell T-shirts.
Right.
I could always be an a-hole on radio, and maybe people will buy a T-shirt for me once in a while. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Wait. Oh.
No, come on. There's people look at this, but there's so much other industry out there.
Yeah.
Right. There's countless industrial stuff which still needs to be done. Countless niche stuff which still needs to be done. I mean, people look at this and they think, oh, this is the only industry that exists. It's just bullshit. It's the same sort of blinker vision that Altium had when they, said, oh, everyone is going to have a designer product that connects to the internet.
Yeah.
It's bullshit, right? It's just bullshit. It's not going to happen. Not even close. Not even to within an order of magnitude.
Yeah, I guess, people always need custom hardware of some type, but it's just a matter of, how many nooks and crannies are there, right? That's what it comes down to.
Well, I reckon there's more nooks and crannies than there are for consumer shit like this.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you're right. I mean,
right?
Yeah, if you're designing a $12 cell phone.
It's just that they're not visible, right? They're not visible.
Yeah.
All these little nooks and crannies that exist everywhere collectively make up more than the consumer market, I'm sure.
You think so? You think from a profit standpoint, or from
at least equal?
Yeah, or from a work standpoint.
Maybe not from a volume standpoint, but from a design and manufacturing requirements standpoint, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that's where all the interesting stuff is, right? Because, when you're doing this kind of stuff, you're optimizing, fractions of pennies on resistors and everything else. Not even probably less than fractions. Like thousands and
bees
millions.
Of,
yeah.
Yep.
I agree with that, but I don't know. It's a big world out there, It's like it's hard to know your place sometimes, Like it's just I'm sure that our audience feels that too. It's just like you look at it, especially when you're starting out, you're just like, where the hell do I fit in all this,
Well, look, it's simple. Do a poll, right? Of all of our audience, right, 7,000 of you, how many of you work in designing consumer electronics products, and how many work on something other than that? I guarantee you, there's probably not a single person in our audience working on a consumer electronics item.
Well, I guess we'd have to define consumer, right?
Well, yes, something that's visible, something that's, something you go buy in your local, market or...
cost optimized. I don't know, man. I know one of our listeners, right? I know two at really big companies that make commercial hardware, so I can't say who they are, but I do know, you know who you are.
Well,
You're listening.
It's one or two. That's what I'm talking about, right? It's very few.
Yeah.
Right? It's a very small percentage. And that's why it's bullshit that, because all this consumer stuff gets the high visibility.
It does,
right?
yeah.
The other stuff
totally
gets zero visibility.
Right. Yeah, and I'm in the industrial space, right? I mean, like that's my bread and butter. That's what keeps food on my table. And I have vendors coming in and telling me the same thing because they don't want to play in this market. They don't want to play in the cell phone market. Like obviously we saw TI getting out of the OMAP line, right? And
right. Because the margins are bugger all. Right.
Well, and they were really gung ho about it at first too. Like Linear Technology, I remember. Like that one of those great ab notes from Jim Williams about the Royer oscillator. That is a brilliant. Have you ever read that ab note?
No.
Oh, it's a good one. So. It's about self-resonant switching circuit basically. It's basically an inverter, and so he did this huge study on it, right, about all these different things. It was actually for the backlight, the CCLF, the cold cathode fluorescent light.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it was a backlight for one of the early Mac
that's
notebooks.
Right. Yep.
And it's like you look at that, and you're like, holy crap, like obviously they're down the road from Cupertino at Milpitas where Linear Technology is, but I never really thought about that. I always saw Linear Tech from an industrial standpoint, so I thought of it like that. But no, of course they were playing in that market, and there's a reason there's so many power switchers out there from all these analog companies. It's like it's not that's going into a lot of different things, right? And that's their bread and butter. Some of the times, not always. So yeah, I mean I get it, but we'll have to, like you said, we'll have to. What?
Still think it's doom and gloom, right?
I ebb and flow. Yeah. Well, like you said, we'll put a poll up. That'll be interesting. I mean, I didn't ask that in the listener survey for the year. So if people could say that, it'll be a real simple survey. Just what industry are you in? I'll try and think of as many as I can, and then we'll leave an other column.
Yeah. I mean, but then like the consumer one has to be just that, the visible consumer side.
Yeah.
Something that you can, we can go and buy in a shop somewhere or buy on eBay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I reckon there's very few. I guarantee it.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, you're right, because like big TVs and big consumer type stuff like that, I mean, that's made by very few people in very concentrated parts of the world.
And I just think that I think I'm right in that there is an order of magnitude or more in terms of the industrial niche market, in terms of us, the number of people working on stuff.
Yeah.
Number of people like us working on things. There's just, or it has to be an order of magnitude or two. It's got to be.
Well,
more in favour of the industrial niche.
We can try and find
some
numbers. That always, it can feel one way, but it can, numbers tell the
right.
truth. As long as it's not a marketing guy giving you numbers.
Of course.
Yeah. Speaking of marketing, we should mention our wonderful sponsor. Yeah. Triad Semiconductor.
For the last week?
No, one more week. One more week.
One more week.
Yeah.
Triad Semiconductor.
Let's hear that one more time, Dave. Let's hear that,
in my
that radio voice.
non-radio voice. Here we go. Triad Semiconductor. No, that's crap.
No.
I don't even know what I was trying to do there.
I think he has a cold or something.
Right, yeah.
So
my nasally whine.
We mentioned our flub last week, or from 2 weeks ago. We mentioned that last week. Basically, so Via Designer is the software that you can get a trial version from Triad. So viadesigner.com/theamphour. Yes, a whole year, $500 value. Basically, you can put together, there's a variety of pre-proven designs, and then basically what you do is you drop vias, hence the Via ASIC name. You drop vias in different parts of the design, and that allows you to basically connect the fabric up and then be able to route, different analog blocks. There's digital blocks. There's lots of different peripherals that you can use in there, and then you can have a semi-custom chip for your application, be it industrial or military, or if you're charging a whole lot, maybe in a consumer application against the competition, obviously. But yeah, it's it's a really cool way to do a semi-custom chip and at a low cost compared to
quite a reasonably low cost compared to a traditional. We're talking orders of magnitude less than a traditional ASIC.
Right, and especially the fact that you can get analog in there, very cool stuff. So we highly recommend people check it out. viadesigner.com/theamphour.
viadesigner.com.
.com.
Was that better?
That was better. Yeah.
All right. Come on, surely you can do one of those American.
Come on down to viadesigner.com.
Infomercials.
Sunday.
I can do one of those shouty ads. Have you guys got those shouty ads in the US? Like they usually come on like at midnight, and it's like
Billy.
Go to viadesigner.com now.
Oh,
you must do it. We've got a free Via Designer software.
Right.
$500 value.
Or like Billy Mays back in the was it Billy Mays? Yeah, the guy, the infomercial guy. Billy Mays here. You can get a brand new knife set, and that's not all. OxyClean. Yeah.
I think people next door are laughing at me. I can hear laughter.
Really?
Yeah. Oh boy.
So they don't call you the crazy Aussie around there, though. They just call you crazy. Is that right?
No, I just get weird stares as I walk through the corridor.
Yeah.
I'm sure they can hear me through the walls here. I mean, I can hear them. So, and I'm louder than your average human. So
that's true.
Yep.
Yeah. Guess you need to reinforce the walls.
Yeah. I need a fully padded room.
That's right. That's what you need. Yep.
And an orange straitjacket,
Yeah.
Bounce off the walls. Oh boy.
So there is a announcement this week from BeagleBone, and Jason has been on the show before talking about BeagleBone.
He has.
And the BeagleBoard project, but they just announced a new version, which I think we might have alluded to in a prior episode. But it looks pretty cool. Did you get a chance to check out specs?
I haven't looked at it. Hey, I've got it open here somewhere. I did have it open. No, I haven't. Give us the lowdown. So
it is. It's the same family, the AM335X. I think that's the same family. I think it's Satara. Oh, I'm probably talking out my butt here. But basically, it's dual core. It's ARM Cortex A8. And then, basically this is a lower cost version of the original BeagleBone. That was like $90. This one's half price, $45. Well,
because they got to compete with the Raspberry Pi, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so that is basically, that's part of the spin. I think they updated some of the technology, and there's a slightly different core and stuff, but you still get all the same headers. You get the same connectivity. You get Ethernet, the USB host. Have you used the original BeagleBone?
No, I don't have one.
Oh no, yeah,
they never sent me one.
Oh, sad.
Yeah, well.
It's pretty cool.
This one, folks, is called the BeagleBone Black.
Oh yeah. So I have the original one, and
right, the white one,
the white one,
bone-colored one.
They emulate Ethernet over USB. I had never. I think it's just the chipset that they use, but I had never done that before. So it's like you connect to it, you plug it in, and then basically you would, it shows up like a flash drive, and then you eject it, and then it's like, oh hey, I'm an Ethernet peripheral now, and it's all through your USB.
Cool.
So you can be USB on one end, and then you can actually be like basically SSHing into this Linux core, and then I believe you can also have an Ethernet cable plugged in the other end. I think that's right. You might not be able to do both at the same time, but in terms of development, it's super simple because you power it off the USB, and then you also do Ethernet off USB, and I don't know. I was really flabbergasted when I started doing that, but it's a cool thing.
Weren't we talking some time back about how the BeagleBone might actually disappear because TI wanted to sell off?
Oh yeah. Because some of the older
OMAP shut down the OMAP line, or something.
Right, the original Beagle board that was like $150. So that's like the red one. It's not. It doesn't have the. I don't think it has the same pin headers and stuff like the 0.1 inch pin headers.
Right.
But yeah, some of the older ones they used the OMAP, so those got discontinued.
Oh right, okay. So this is the new
Yeah,
yes,
this is a different family.
New AM335X 1 gig ARM Cortex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like, so I really don't like the Cloud9. I tried that with like the Cloud9 IDE and Node.js, and it's like I know that it's trying to be like Arduino, and it is very high level and everything like that, but it feels clunky. I think it's probably because
failed,
how I connected to it, but I don't know. Like writing JavaScript to talk to peripherals, it feels weird. I mean, it's not really. It's JavaScript based, but it's it's just a scripting language. It feels weird. I don't know.
Give me basic.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it feels like that, right? I mean, like...
yeah, right. Yeah, just give me basic. I just want to print 10 hello world, print hello world.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard. Like, so I've been interfacing to an ADC at work and stuff, and, it's like getting to the point of, just getting data to stream out and have, like...
to talk out. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a big hurdle.
It's a big step. And, and also not only, you can just stream it sometimes, if you have it all set up and you click go and you stream it, that's one thing. But then also having like it configurable and everything, it's just like, oh man, this is so much work. It's like at a certain point you just are like, well, why don't I just do everything at this point and just start programming the damn thing with whatever I'm going to end up talking to it with.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's always that battle of trying to figure out when you actually pull the trigger on, between the what do you call it, exercising a chip and actually just full out developing something,
Yep.
But
I'm a big fan of just jumping straight in there and writing the real code.
Yeah.
And just works. I don't see wasting time. I don't think it's worthwhile wasting time writing some test routine or something like that. I just jump straight in, do the code, sort out any issues, and.
Yeah, so I was getting back into code when I was starting to do some of this project I'm doing now. I was kind of, I'd been away from code for a little while and stuff, and really the thing that tripped me up was just like, man, like, okay, so I know I can get to data if I like just look at the registers and everything, but that's really clunky. I know that's how a lot of embedded people do like actual development. You run to a certain line and then go look at the register, or you could do a printf if you wanted to, but then you need like a debug interface. The real turning point for me was having a serial interface. I think that still kind of rocks the house on. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but that's what eventually ended up allowing me to stream data back. That was the key thing for me. I don't know if that's how you usually do it.
If you've got a product that doesn't natively have a display device, like a lot of my products will have an LCD, right? So that's the first thing I'll get working. Get the LCD working, and once you got that working, you can use that to just print out all your variables and and things to see that they work.
Yeah.
You've instantly got that that debug interface there with the LCD.
Yeah, and I had that when I was starting on a different platform. I had like a little interface, but the problem with that was it took so damn long to update it because it was like this, it was all abstracted to me, but it was you still had this serial or this interface you had to write to, and so it had this huge library and it was updating character at a time, and it's like I wanted to stream data and this thing wanted to slowly blink data across the screen. It's like
right.
It's too bad. I was thinking about that
boy.
with like Google Glass and stuff, and really just even cell phones. You know, like no one ever. I know there's good reason for it, but like no one will ever just give you access to the data bus. You know, like wouldn't that be refreshing if you're just like, here's a 16-pin header, have at our 8-bit data bus. You know, like you can just throw commands at it and don't worry about it. You know, like just there's no good ways to, at least as far as I know, like with phones, I still think there's no good way to stream data in or out of phones. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Well, yeah. No, I don't know anymore.
There was
Sorry.
like the yo-yo, it was spelled IOIO, and that connects to like Google phones and stuff. But
Right.
and that was like, I think that was like a Arduino that talked over USB to hosts or something like that. But even that was like really low bandwidth.
I think it's pretty piss poor.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it turns out that one of the fastest ways to, you know, like, and like this is not like a trivial problem either, because like, look, we were talking about Kickstarter before. Like, look how many products are on there are widget that talks to phone or tablet. You know, it's like, and so
I know it's every one of them.
Right.
Almost.
Right. So your only option there really is wireless. You know, as far as I know, like I don't know any other ways to get data in or out.
Well, there's Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and USB. They're your three options. Or not really. No, you can't really do the near field communications. That's really
That's
not
slow.
Gonna
Yeah, that's really
cut.
slow.
That's not going to cut the mustard. That's like the 300 baud modem of the modern world.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, no, it actually gets even slower than that. I think there was.
Yeah, I know. It's not even that quick. Yeah.
No, there's a slower technology even that I forget what it was. It was like another quantified self device. It was like kind of like a Fitbit that kind of clips to your belt and tracks your walking and stuff. But then you put it down.
Oh yes,
on
yeah,
the screen.
the Ant.
Was that what it was?
Well, there's a couple of technologies that do that. The Ant is one of them. The Ant is like a protocol and a wireless RF, like a ultra low power wireless RF protocol, and the bandwidth is incredibly low.
No, this one was you put it on a screen. I think it actually modulated the capacitive touch field. I think that's how it did it.
Oh.
I can't remember it now. I'll try and find it. I'll try and put it in the show notes. But yeah, it was really weird. You know, like it was like the guy put it down on the screen, and then it actually detected where it was on the screen. And I think because it was modulating the cap touch field.
Oh, right.
But that's another way in, right? I mean, like you could do that. You could try and, I guess you wouldn't be able. You could try and do a camera type thing where it, like, you know, monitors
That
colors
reminds
or something.
me of the computers way back. We're talking 70s light pens.
Yes. I was thinking
Light
about that at the
pens.
library the other day. Do you remember that? Like, I remember the nice old lady at the library.
light pen ones,
you know,
yeah.
she would scan across. You know, it's like such a fond memory of mine.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yes, me too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I thought, you know, as a kid, I thought, oh, that was stunning technology.
Yeah.
You know.
How does it do it?
And I guess it was back in the day, right?
Yeah.
It was, you know,
Yeah.
you know, barcode wand readers, you know, that you would, you know, or light pens that you'd touch on the screen. That was like phenomenal. And all they did was, you know, the timing for that particular, thing on the screen, that particular icon on the screen, they just timed that through the light sensor. It's actually quite easy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how a lot of the pens work, or a lot of the fab equipment works. You know, semiconductor fab, like the older stuff, they're all light pen based. Like all the 8-inch wafer equipment. Nice text-based interface. Oh, yeah. Classic. Then it plays... if you ever sit inside a fab, you'll hear... Was it The Entertainer? Is that the Joplin song? No
idea.
Yeah, there's like all these alarms you can set on fab machines so that
Right.
you hear the same song over and over every time a process finishes, and so you come to hate them. Like Fur Elise is another one, you know, by Beethoven. Is it Beethoven?
Right.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about, though.
Oh, it's terrible.
The same thing
there's
goes
only like
over and
6
over.
alarms total.
Yeah.
So yeah, worst thing ever.
My kingdom for green sleeves. you
Yeah.
know? Something different.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah. We're way over again.
No, we're
8
not,
minutes
are
over.
we? We're only 10 minutes over. We can keep going. Come on, keep going. Keep going.
Well, do we have more stuff to shovel out?
Sure. Did you see Bill Porter's site? Bill Porter, he was a former guest on the Engineering Commons when I was doing that, but he's been doing these updates about his wedding with his wife, who's similarly geeky, and they sealed their vows with soldering. It is spectacular.
I read something about it. I didn't actually see it. Right.
It's like so awkward and cute, and like it's.
I saw somewhere. Where was it? It was on TV. It was on like the 6 o'clock news. Some guy. It just reminded me of this. Some guy quit his job, and he loved decorating cake. So he actually baked a cake and then decorated his resignation letter. Actually wrote it in icing on the top of the cake and gave it to them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's only really good when you shove it in their face.
Right.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy.
We should do like a link breakdown. You know, like where we like rapid fire links.
Do you want to have an audience next week so that they can actually buy T-shirts, or do you want them to run scared shitless?
Yeah.
We do have Workbench of the Week.
Oh, we do. Yeah, we should definitely talk about that real quick. So we had 3 people send. So after last week, we talked about in a similar manner of hurried desperation of trying to fit everything in at the end of the week. But so we had 3 people write in. First of whom was, who was this? Christopher, or Chris, sorry. But yeah, he actually has. So he repairs amplifiers and stuff like that, and he says we were kind of saying, I said I don't trust people with clean benches, but
clean benches, yeah.
I think he was trying to say it's okay. So, but
right.
Nice. He's got a nice bench here. It's got some.
Yeah, I like it.
A lot of.
He's got some old school audio
stuff.
I see a graphic equalizer.
Yep. Looks like maybe an oscillator up there on the upper left. But nice big voltmeters.
And a ancient. Is that a Trio analog scope? I think it might be a Trio. I can't. No, it's a Hitachi.
No, it says Tektronix, doesn't it? That's a Tech.
No. Are we looking at the same workbench?
Maybe not.
That's not a Tektronix scope.
Looks like it says Tech. I guess I see what I want to see.
Goodness, man.
Yeah.
Hey, are we talking about the black bench with the notebook and the shiny amplifiers up the top?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little CRT screen. No.
Yeah, that little CRT oscilloscope in the bottom right.
Bottom right.
Bottom left corner.
Okay.
That is not a.
Yeah, you're right. It looks like it could say Tektronix. I don't know. Companies go through. We go through logo changes.
Maybe.
Companies can go through logo changes.
I think it's an Hitachi logo. I think it's an Hitachi logo.
Yeah, it looks like old. It's old.
Anyway, it's an old 15 meg. Yeah, it's V because yes, it's definitely a Hitachi because the Hitachi one started with V dash and it's a V dash something oscilloscope. I know my oscilloscopes, man.
Sure, whatever.
Bloody Tektronix, my ass.
I used to work for them. I would know, Dave. I worked for them for like 2 months.
Right. Hang your head in shame, dude. You don't know a Tektronix scope.
I know the color. When I see the color, I know it, but
exactly. No, it's not that.
What if like some crazy marketing person came in and changed stuff? I don't know. No. Anyways, next
Limited
bench.
edition, non-Tektronix color model.
Yeah.
No.
So
Fail.
Yi Yao, who's a regular commenter on the site, he also wrote in. And now, this is what I like to see. Not only we're seeing messy workbench with, looks like he didn't even bother painting his wall. He like drywalled himself into a room.
yeah, this is great.
Which is awesome. Then he's also...
exactly.
He started a company for machining stuff. So he's actually giving me tips on machining because I've obviously had no idea what I'm doing. He's got
you suck at it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm no good at it. And so he's got a lot of the same equipment that I have. So he's got a machine shop and everything else, and nice and messy. I like that.
I like it too. I love the unpainted walls, just the plastered, gyprock, just plastered.
Yeah,
gyprock.
Gyprock, like sheetrock, or yeah.
Yeah, you guys don't call it gyprock, do you?
No,
you call it like.
I like that though. Like, it's like gypsum-based sheetrock, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Here in Australia, it's called Gyprock. Man, that's a brand name. It's like saying Xerox,
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. I believe so, anyway.
Yeah.
And it's got a Heiko FX 888 there, and he's got a little cheap $50 hot air gun and a analog scope. Looks like a Rigol and a big logic analyzer, big ass old school HP.
Yep.
By the looks of it, logic analyzer.
Yes, I see the little blue logo. I concur. I concur with the HP assessment, Dave.
Right.
You're lucky this time.
I wasn't even looking at the logo. I was just looking at the general shape and yep, it's just the vibe of it to my Australian audience. Yep.
And then one last one from
Messy workbench.
who's this one from? Jan.
Real work happens there, you know.
Where?
Sorry, I don't trust these other guys. Clean.
Clean.
No, look, nothing's going on here. Look, it's a sine wave on the oscilloscope there, but there's no hardware. Where's the hardware?
where is the smattering of boards?
There's no pigtails. You know, where's the solder splashes? Where's the
exactly? Yeah.
In fact, where's the soldering iron?
Where are the burn marks?
Sorry, no, I don't wish to belittle your lab there. It's fine.
See, but this could be secondary bench too. That's the other thing. Some people do that where they have
secondary. This is this is no better than my. This is better than my home bench.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. It's my.
I think people need to start sending in higher res pictures though, because I have no idea what these scopes are. I don't even know what that thing on top is. Looks like it might be a ham radio.
The thing on top is one of those multi-function 3-in-1 things. So it's like a frequency counter. Oh. It's a function generator. It's a power supply all in one. Yeah. You can buy them now for under $1,000. I think it's a recent model one.
Huh.
You can,
Okay.
One of those 3 or 4-in-1 lab. It's a lab in one kind of thing.
I've never used one of those.
Perfect for this application at home.
Yeah.
You only need one power cord, and you've got yourself a power supply, a function generator, a multimeter, a frequency counter. Boom. It's all in one. So, and that is a Philips oscilloscope, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe I shouldn't do any videos of the swap meet at the Hamvention.
Right.
I'll be like, and here's another
this lovely vintage Tektronix one, and it's actually a Hung Chang.
Yeah. Here's I think this is a radio. Chris, that's a car. Yeah. It might be bad.
I do know my Teskey.
Yes.
I do like that. I stand to be corrected, but I think that's a Philips. That has the classic Philips vertical lines through the vertical sections and the horizontal section next to it, and it's just got that classic look to it. Anyway.
Well, the battle rages on. I think I'm still on the. I think we both agree on this though. With the dirty bench is the dirty bench is
the way to go.
So we still haven't seen a dirty S bench. So if people want to submit that, you don't need to have a super super high res photo if it's really messy. But
why no?
Oh yeah, I guess you do.
I want to be able to see each solder splash, man. Come on.
That's a good point. You really got to get in there.
So we want fast shutter speed, folks.
Yeah.
None of this
good
blurry
lighting.
rubbish.
Good
fast
lighting.
Shutter speed. Good lighting.
Yep.
Fast shutter speed.
Yep.
Although most of your best labs are, in
dank,
almost sheer darkness.
Oh yeah.
Dank darkness.
One little lamp with like a 40-watt bulb in it.
Lamp that's actually flickering.
Yeah, exactly.
Above your head.
Yeah. Don't worry, you get an LED that you rigged up yourself to try and get extra light for when you're soldering. But yeah, you don't turn that on all the time because.
No, that's right, because you don't want to piss away the power.
Yeah.
Engineers love working in adversity, don't they? I think they thrive on it.
I think it's just habit for me, man. I can't keep a clean bench. I got too much stuff going on. I don't know.
Right.
Whatever. All right, well, I guess we can go now. I guess.
All right.
But people should remember that you can... For 1 week only, the campaign will end April 29th, and then the price goes up. You can buy a black...
Grab your cool amp hour t-shirt.
That's right. And
it's got a great retro look to it.
Yeah, hopefully people like it. If not, well, we have more designs in the pipeline.
If you don't like it, buy it anyway, and
right.
It could be a collector's item. I don't know. Resell it on eBay.
Right, like Beanie Babies. Right. Collector's edition. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm not going to make any promises about next week, because I've obviously made them the past 3 weeks. So next week we'll have a show. Yes.
You think?
We better.
All right. I'll try and be here.
All right. Until then, buy your t-shirts.
Yes.
See ya.
See ya.
This episode of the Amp Hour was brought to you by Triad Semiconductor. If you need maximum flexibility in both the analog and digital realm, check out the VIA ASIC and associated VIA Designer software. Visit viadesigner.com/theamphour and enter AMP100 at registration for a free year subscription, a $500 value. T-shirts.